financial problems, elder law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Jenny Lingl, good morning.
Good morning, Ken.
Brian Small.
Always a pleasure.
Today's topic, survive student debt and stop foreclosure. These are two serious problems that happen, and it so happens they share a common solution.
They share a common solution. Isn't that fascinating? Who would ever think that student loans and facing foreclosure would have anything in common?
Well, the commonality is you need to stop the lender. And the foreclosure, you need to stop that lender from taking your home. In the student loan scenario, where you have non-dischargeability and bankruptcy, you need to stop them from taking your money, garnishing your paycheck, seizing your assets.
Now, the funny thing is I'm not saying that student loans are dischargeable. They are legally dischargeable in the bankruptcy code, but the standard is so high to discharge them, it's nearly impossible.
How many times have you seen it happen?
Okay, I can tell you that it's probably, I've seen maybe 3 cases a year out of the 1 million people that file a bankruptcy a year.
So it's very difficult.
It's extremely difficult.
But that doesn't mean that bankruptcy isn't an alternative. Chapter 13 is where we're going to manage that student debt problem, right?
Indeed, it is.
Let's talk about student debt.
Force that the student loans will reckon with.
Let me give you some student loan debt facts. This source is nerdwallet.com, which we've talked about that before.
Wait, can we just make another comment about how that happens to be your favorite website?
No, it's not my favorite, but it's a good website.
Nerd Wallet.
Fine. Okay, it's a good website for facts. 65% of seniors in 2017 graduated with student debt. That's seniors in college seniors. Average amount $28,640. The average
that's from undergraduate.
Yes. Okay. Average household with student loan debt $47,671. So you got more than one kid. Professional degrees, to give you some quick numbers. Med school $196,000. Dent school, surprised me, $285,000. Wow. Pharmacy. This is the most insane one. $166,000. The pharmacist doesn't make the money that the doctor and the dentist makes, but he gets the benefit of the same amount of student loan debt.
The dental schools, the reason those student loans are so high is because there's so few dental schools and they can charge so much more in tuition than there are versus medical schools.
Apparently. The one that's insane here is the pharmacy. You're going to have $166,000 of student loan debt and you're going to go work for CVS at, I don't know what they pay their pharmacists. I'm sure it's not $150,000 a year.
Some do, some don't, but yeah, you're right.
All right, here's the total outstanding student debt. Federal student loan debt, $1.4 trillion. Total borrowers, 43 million. Private student debt, $119 billion.
Now, let's put that in perspective. In 2008, there was $700 billion worth of student loan debt. It has more than doubled in the last 10 years.
Since the recession.
That's
big problem.
Insane.
And it was insane at $700 billion. We were talking about it as a problem then.
Well, look at the cost of school. The cost of tuition at a major university, I'll just give you by comparison, 30 plus years ago when I went to the University of Michigan, it cost $3,500 in tuition. It was $5,000 a year for tuition, room, and board. My daughter, who graduated from Michigan State University a couple years ago, when she finished, tuition, room, and board was running about $30,000 a year.
That's insane.
Wages didn't go up by 5 times.
Yeah, that's the part of it that's insane. It's not that wages have not gone up 5 times. Wages have, over 30 years have gone up probably 2.5 times.
Yeah, but the tuition's 5 times higher and wages aren't.
Big problem.
This is why there's $1.5 trillion with student loan debt.
Okay. Another interesting fact that I got out of the Nerd Wallet website was missed opportunity. Free application for federal student aid. That's FAFSA. Okay. The percentage of graduating high school students who did not complete the application was 37%. The average amount of Pell Grants available through the federal system is $3,900 per grant. They left on the table in 2018 $2.6 billion of available grants that were never funded because not enough people applied for them.
And do you know why?
So if you are there, you should pursue your opportunities.
Have you ever filled out a FAFSA form?
No, it's a lot of work.
It's an incredible amount of work. They're very difficult. They're very confusing, and
for $4,000, you should do it.
But as I'm a lawyer, and I helped my daughter fill out this form, and it's confusing to me. Okay, I deal with finances every day. If the average person doesn't fill it out because the government makes it difficult, they put a giant roadblock through this form that you have to fill out. I just can't fill it out.
You agree you should still do it?
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, beyond that, if you're...
Jenny, should you tell me we should still do it?
Absolutely.
We need to still do it.
Absolutely. I did it. It's all
See,
done.
you did it.
That's why he doesn't have any hair anymore.
But I'll tell you know what else goes unclaimed? Regular grant money. Free money that's out there. There's a website called grants.gov.
There you go.
It has a ton of free money available to college students. They have to write essays, they have to make applications, but you know what? It's free.
You need to do everything you can do to minimize the cost of your education and to minimize the amount that you need to borrow if that's where your situation is. Because here's the big problem. Student loan debt, federal and private, are not presently dischargeable in bankruptcy.
Subject to the actual rules that allow them to be discharged, but really not dischargeable.
Private student loans have no repayment plans or grace periods of any meaningful help. Federal loans do. We're going to take a break. Brian's going to explain the difference between those two, and then we're going to then parlay this into foreclosure and how Chapter 13 can solve both problems.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
A lifetime of hard work. If you don't have the right plan in place, you can lose your home, your savings, and more. And you didn't come this far to lose everything. Samasco Law wants you to know that laws are changing. Today, the average cost of nursing home care is $85,000 a year. With proper planning, we can help protect your life savings and get you the Medicaid and nursing home benefits you deserve.
How much can you afford to lose? Call Samasco Law today.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirshner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP. Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
All right, so back to this federal versus student loan. So if you've got a federal loan, you can and you can't afford to make the payments, Brian, what happens?
So there are a number of programs based on when you took the student loan out that are available, but they all come under the concept of called an income-based repayment program. And you apply for the program, they examine your current year's income.
Based on your tax return?
Based on your last year's tax return. And then they see, all right, you're making X, they plug it into the formula, you can afford Y. Now, give you an example. You could owe $145,000 in student loans and still have a payment of $50 a month under these income-based repayment programs. It's a matter of your income, and you have to apply every year.
But it's a quick process. It's not hard.
Fairly quick, yeah. It's all electronic. You go on the student loan lender's website, you fill in your
so if
stuff,
you have a
and
federal
boom.
loan, that's what you should be doing to manage the student loan.
If you cannot afford the payment that is regularly structured, that opportunity and option exists under the income-based repayment program.
What about private student loans?
Well, there's no real program that exists other than Chapter 13.
Okay.
See, Chapter 13 is reorganization, and it allows you to restructure the debt and pay what you can afford over a period of time. The private student loans don't have any private programs.
So you can use Chapter 13 to do that, and we're going to talk about Bill and Carol in a second and use an example of that to illustrate it. But before we get to Bill and Carol, let's quickly shift over to foreclosure. Suppose I'm behind in my payments on my mortgage, $1,500 a month. I'm 6 months behind. I don't have $9,000. The lender's foreclosing. He sent me a notice. I got a letter from Trot Law saying my house is going for sale in 5 weeks. Unless I can come up with the $9,000 plus attorney fees to reinstate the mortgage, it's going to go to sale. How do I stop that?
Okay. Besides coming up with the money, which is
I don't
clearly
have it.
not an option,
Right.
then Chapter 13 bankruptcy is an available opportunity to stop the foreclosure. As long as you qualify for and file for a Chapter 13 bankruptcy before the sheriff's sale occurs, it will stop the sheriff's sale and give you an opportunity, in this case for, it happens to be Bill and Carol that we're about to be talking about. In this case, we can take that $9,000 arrearage and spread it out over 5 years and pay it back slowly rather than
In a manageable way.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take Bill and Carol. Bill has $100,000 of private student loans. Carol has $100,000 of private student loans. They both make $50,000 a year W-2 wages. Their payments on the student loans are $2,250 a month between the two of them. They've defaulted. The lender has sued, and he's got judgments against them, and he's now garnishing Bill and Carol's wages.
25% of
Their
their
take-home.
net take-home pay each.
They have other debt. They've got $100,000 of credit card debt because they were borrowing on the credit cards to try and pay the student loans, and then they tapped out the credit cards. $2,500 a month. Their house is worth $150,000. They have a first mortgage of $165,000, so they're underwater. Plus, they have a second mortgage of $35,000. They were trying to keep pace with the student loans and the credit cards, and they fell behind on the mortgage. They're 4 weeks now behind on the $1,500 a month, so they're $6,000 behind. Bill and Carol's budget before the Chapter 13. Their net income on their $100,000 after taxes is about $5,800 a month. First mortgage, second mortgage, the credit cards, the student loans, utilities, 2 car payments, gas, auto, cable phone, food, health insurance, their expenses, paying the second mortgage, paying the first mortgage, paying the student loans, paying the credit cards. Their expenses are $11,000 a month. They're short by $5,200 a month.
But are they really?
Yes.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
But not in my world.
Let's do a Chapter 13
When
budget.
Bill and Carol come in, okay, I just want you to know this is a normal case. Okay? People are sitting out there saying, "Oh my God, who has $100,000 worth of credit card debt and $200,000 worth of student loans?" You know what? I see it every day. Absolutely insane. And the first mistake people make is, I have to pay the credit cards. And
because they call the most.
yeah. So I'll pay the credit cards. I'll catch the mortgage up next week.
They only call it when you're a month behind. The credit cards call when you're a day behind.
So Bill and Carol falling $9,000 behind on their mortgage trying to keep up on everything. The reality is that from a legal standpoint, and it's not very often that as a lawyer, when you're looking at a process and a problem, that you go, "Ooh, this is really cool." So
because we can get a good result. But I want to stay right with the point you're on, and because the next segment we'll go through how we solve the problem. But you sit there saying, well, how did they come up with $100,000 of credit card debt? It's real easy. They couldn't possibly make the student loan payments and the mortgage payment
and eat
because the
and
budget
pay the
was too
electric
short
bill.
for that. So by getting the credit card debt was available, they kept getting applications. They'd take them. They took cash advances then to make the payments on the student loans, on the mortgage, and on the credit cards. And then it quickly gets to the $100,000, and then they get cut off because they stopped giving them any available credit. If the credit card companies kept giving them more and more available credit, they could have continued to make the mortgage payment and the student loan payments.
Yeah. Effectively, they were moving the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Yeah.
So when we come back from the break, we can talk about how Chapter 13 will fix Bill and Carol's budget problems.
That's the plan.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem. Time for announcements. I want to remind our viewers to listen to us for Law and Reality Live on the Praise Network, 93.5, 98.3, and 99.9 FM, Tuesdays 10 o'clock a.m. and Saturdays 7 a.m. Also on KISS 105.9, Sundays 7 o'clock a.m. Be sure and sign up for our monthly contest. Every month we give away a free $50 Visa gift card, Law and Reality golf hat, and a copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Just go to the website, pop in your name on the very front box that pops up, and you're entered into the contest. We have a seminar coming up Wednesday, July 24th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., resolving personal and business debt issues. We're going to walk through all the systems that we use to preserve future income for you and your family, to eliminate debt so that you've got money to retire with. Business debt and personal debt are going to be covered. Jenny Lingl is going to do a special segment on how to resolve tax issues. Attendees get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Understand something in our seminars. You don't come to the seminar and get a steak dinner. You get cookies, you get water, you get a letter opener, you get a free copy of my book, but what you get is tremendous information. You get the information that you need that's going to, A, bolster your confidence, make you feel good about the fact that there's a solution to the problem that you don't think exists, and you're actually going to have some fun. It's entertaining and it's an upbeat type of a process. I strongly encourage you to take advantage. Sign up at lawandreality.com, thavgross.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Be sure and go on to the Law and Reality Facebook page. Give us a like, shoot us some comments. We post information and current events on the Facebook page all the time, and we'd appreciate your likes. You're always invited for a free consultation at THAV GROSS. All you have to do is go to the website, request a consult in any one of the boxes, or call us up at 888-235-HELP to sign up for a free consultation. Debt issues with Brian, tax issues with Jenny, estate planning issues with Brian, business law issues with myself, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeffrey Kirshner. Understand something. The free consult is a tremendous opportunity. It's not a meet and greet. We sit down with a lawyer, analyze the problem, and give you specific recommendations on how to solve the problem, what it'll take, how much it'll cost, and it maps out the solution to the issue. You should always take advantage of it. It's great advice, and it costs you absolutely nothing. Take a look at our website. We have four great reports. Brand new, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions, written by Jenny and myself. How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit, and The Retiree's Guide to Social Security. All you do is go on the website, request a report, and it's downloaded right to you. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV GROSS, Samasco Law, Jeff Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Will I outlive my money?
Medicaid is so confusing.
A will, or do I need a trust?
What if mom needs to go in a nursing home?
At Samasco Law, we have the answers to all of these questions. Our attorneys will eliminate the confusion and develop a plan that's right for you. We are dedicated to veterans benefits, assisted living, and nursing home care. Samasco Law can help prepare you for a long future. Call Samasco Law today.
Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
Okay, back to Bill and Carol. So they're $5,200 underwater on their budget. How do you handle the Chapter 13?
So what we do is we look at their budget, we look at their actual expenses, what would have to be paid through a Chapter 13 instead of what has to be paid in ordinary day-to-day consumer bill, so to speak. And in Chapter 13, one of the things, the first thing it can do is their second mortgage. We don't have to pay it because they're underwater on their first mortgage. That meaning that their house is worth less than what they owe on their first mortgage. So I can do something called the lien strip on their second mortgage, remove it from the house, so to speak, and pay it whatever pro rata share of the unsecured creditors that exists. Unsecured creditors being a debt that has no collateral attached to it. That would be credit cards, hospital bills, student loans.
Okay.
So we set.
So we get rid of the house.
We get rid of the house, second house payment.
Second mortgage.
We're not going to have a credit card payment. We're not going to have a student loan payment in the Chapter 13.
So right off the bat, we've eliminated three major payments: $875, $2,500, and $2,250.
Right. And when you
so
do
now
all
their
of that,
budget goes from being negative to positive.
It goes from negative $5,200 to a positive $383.
Okay.
Now, if they're being garnished on their $5,200 or their $5,800 take-home pay, they're taking home almost $1,500 less per month due to the garnishment.
That stops.
That stops. Yes, and Now we only have $383 available to pay their bills with. But this
That's
is
to
after
pay
this
the
is after they
unsecured
pay their
creditors,
mortgage, after they pay their food, their gas, their car payments, their car insurance. In other words, Chapter 13 allows them to live, eat, sleep, and breathe.
Not only it takes the house from being negative equity to positive equity. Or almost positive.
Yeah.
They're still a little bit behind.
But live, eat, sleep, breathe, and be happy. And whatever's left over, which is $383, we're going to utilize that to pay the student loans. We're going to utilize that to pay the attorney's fees. We're going to utilize that to pay the trustee fees. We're going to utilize that to pay the credit cards.
All right, so here's a question for you. I know the credit cards at the end of the Chapter 13 are discharged. You don't have to pay them. The student loans, though, at the end of the Chapter 13 are still not dischargeable, right?
They're not.
So can we take that money and use it to pay the student loans as opposed to paying anything to... all they're going to get is $383 a month, right?
Yes, but $383.
Who gets that $383?
Again, it goes... The $383 is used to pay attorney's fees, trustee fees, and a pro rata share to the unsecured creditors.
So they're not going to get much anyway.
They're not. But now imagine this. Let's say we still take the same scenario, but Bill and Carol have, instead of $383 a month,
$1,000.
they have $1,383. Yeah. We could take all that money, and because of a recent change in the law, we can actually utilize that money and pay more of it towards the student loan to the detriment of Visa, MasterCard, hospital bills, and things like that.
So maybe at the end of the Chapter 13, the $200,000 in student loan debt can come down to $150?
It could, yes. It's an opportunity. The law has changed recently, and taking advantage of the opportunity to restructure your debt and get some of that money to the student loan lender, which never goes away, and not pay Visa, MasterCard, and your second mortgage, which can go away.
And then, Jenny, if there's tax debts, you can integrate that into the process?
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on how old they are, we might actually discharge them in the Chapter 13.
Which is funny. You can discharge income taxes, but you can't discharge student loans.
So let's talk about the discharging the student loans. So the Chapter 13 is not going to eliminate at the end of the case the student loans. They're still non-dischargeable under today's law. The 13 is a benefit because it stops the private student lender from garnishing those wages. It puts it in control. It doesn't, so you don't have to pay what you can't afford.
It stops the government from garnishing too.
In the course of the next 5 years, chances are we're going to see reform in the student loan market. There's bills pending right now in the legislature. They probably won't pass, but something will happen for reform. Chapter 13 becomes the vehicle to get you there. If it's not there at the end of the 5 years, you can stack it on with another Chapter 13 if you need to. But we are going to see reform. The question is, you have to take the situation as it exists today and make it manageable. Chapter 13 is the vehicle to manage student loan debt, and it is definitely, and always has been, the best vehicle to stop foreclosure. When do you have to file that Chapter 13 to stop foreclosure?
You have to file it before the foreclosure sale. You can't wait until afterwards. But by the way, foreclosures can be stopped also through Chapter 13 property tax foreclosures too, not just mortgage foreclosures.
Which is a hot issue right now. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality. Thanks for tuning in.